So 5 minutes more before you start the session. So just 3 minutes left, guys. Before we start, I would like to say some general instructions for all the participants present over here. It is an interactive session and your questions means a lot to us. So we have planned an Q&A session in which you can ask your question. And if right now you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. And during the Q&A session, you can raise your hand if you have any questions. And after your name has been called by the host, you can ask your questions. Thank you all for being so patient with us. Now we have reached our time, so let's start the webinar. A very warm welcome to all of you present over here in today's webinar on career counseling. I feel delightful to be a host for today's beautiful session in which we will be diving into the ocean of knowledge and discussing the various important aspects of career counseling. Ladies and gentlemen, please feel free to ask any questions if you have during the session. Now, moving on. As we all know, choosing a career is a very confusing and I get a challenging aspect of life with so many options available and informations. It's very crucial to have the right information and the right guidance so as to make important decisions. That's why we have organized this webinar for to helping the students in choosing their career. So before we dive into the session, I would like to ask Subrat. Sorry. So before we dive into the session of our webinar, I would like to thank all the members here and all the speakers here and all the participants here who have took out their time and be present here with us in this valuable session. So ladies and gentlemen, moving on, I would like to call Himanshu to please introduce our guest of honor, Dr. Raj Kishore Sinha sir.
Thank you, Krish. Uh, Dr. Brij Kishore Sinha, head of Department of Geology, French University. French. He has a first teaching experience of 38 years and has successfully produced 4 PhDs, one which is also registered for DSC. He has delivered over 40 plus national and international seminars and published 30 plus national and international journals. He has been commissioned principal of PK Roy Memorial College and of Jail College, Dhurwa, Ranchi, and has also served as a member of Academic Council, BBNK University Bengal, and as a dean of BBNKU Bengal, Ranchi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Himanshu, for such a beautiful introduction. Now I would ask Mr. Professor Brajkishore Sinha sir to say some words and guide us.
Thank you, Utkarsh. It is very nice to be here. Good evening to all,
Good evening, sir.
and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share something with you people on this topic of career and counseling. Firstly, I must rectify the things that I have retired now. I'm not the head of the Department of Zoology at Ranchi University now. Presently, on 30th of June, I have superannuated. Okay, so it is uh, very nice to address you young people, those who are aspiring for the new career and want to be the future of the uh, country. Because you will be the planner, you will be managing the uh, country. So the future is in your hand. So if the career you decide, you choose and pursue in it, naturally that will make things better. As all of you know that the G20 summit has just ended today, and it has opened a new arena of things. Now the fresh graduates, those who are going to uh, have the job or career in future in next 3 to 4 years, they will be having ample number of things to come. You see, the first and foremost thing, the things are changing fast. What was earlier when we were students and the scope of study was very limited. Accordingly, the scope of employment was limited. But of late, as the technology has advanced, knowledge is advancing. There is an immense diversity in the uh, career also. No more there is a limited number of career as one passes to +2. So earlier students used to be there that XYZ is the only option in which we have to go. After graduation, again, certain of the fixed career were there. Now there is a n number of career options, n number of. So the opportunity has multiplied like anything. Now the fresh students, those who enter into the graduation level, or they go for the post-graduation level or research level or whatsoever it may be, the higher studies. So generally we consider the entrance of student, those who have completed their intermediate and have come into the graduation level, and they want to shape their career. So in shaping the career, counseling is important, because we do not know what we have to do. Just we have come from the school background, and in the school background there is a more of burden with the studies, and you just complete the +2 level and finally come to the graduation level. When you come to the graduation level, the things open actually. And with the introduction of the new National Education Policy 2020 and the opportunities which has opened over here of the freedom of selection of the subjects and programs, the students sometimes get confused also what I have to take and how we can pursue the career. So one thing is very important over here to understand, that once a student is admitted in the NEP 2020, which has been introduced, especially in Ranchi University, the barrier of the art, science and commerce has been dissolved, the first and foremost thing. So there is no as such very hard line or watertight compartment of science, arts, social science, and so on and so forth. So a social science student can opt a science subject also if he or she has got the interest in it. So like there is a flexibility of choice. Earlier it was not possible. So now it is possible. With this possibility, the dimensions are more open. We can have n number of dimensions where we can explore things. So the capacity of exploring the areas of knowledge becomes more important over here. And in this situation, counseling becomes very important. A student is required to be counseled how he or she can pursue, how he or she can choose their combination of the subjects so that will be good for his or her future. So that becomes very important. Now, the first and foremost thing that I would like to suggest, a student must have a curiosity. If he or she is having curiosity in himself or herself, he will inquire. If he inquires, naturally a counselor anybody can become a counselor for. A teacher is always a counselor over there in the institution. So he or she can be counseled. So first and foremost thing is inquiry. What I have to do? If I am able to understand that what I have to do, then only somebody will help us to how to do, what way to do. So firstly, one has to understand what he or she has to do. So first thing is curiosity and inquiry. Must have the curiosity, must have the inquiry in itself. Second important thing comes that he or she must have to know his or her strength and weaknesses. What strengths are there? What he have? If a person is having good in literature, naturally that is a strength. If a person is good in mathematics, that is a strength. So likewise, he or she will have to identify what strength he or she is having. That is another important thing. So my advice is always there that a student must firstly decide what he has to do. If he has decided that I have to do this one, he can get a counseling. Second thing, if he has decided that I have to do this one, I have to do graduation with this, I have to do graduation with public administration, I have to do graduation with botanical science or life sciences, or I have to do graduation with physical sciences. So firstly, he or she will have to decide this one. If he decides this one, then final things can be worked out. The second important thing is that once you have decided, now you'll have to explore things. Exploratory, one has to be very much exploratory. So when you have decided, that should become a hobby of yours. You must have an interest, high degree of interest in it. You can feel it. Until unless you can feel it, you cannot do. And once you are able to internalize it, feel it, and if there is a continuous putting in some effort, continuously, patiently, the efforts are being given to that one, naturally the thing will get a shape out of it. So students at the graduation level, they are required to do 2 or 3 things immediately. If they have decided, they have got the admission in NEP 2020 under the program, they will have to decide what combination you have to take. So upward and shape your career, personality, that will depend in these 3 to 4 years. And this is the program or the course or the subject that you take for your um, in the graduation level. This is one thing that is very important to understand. The second important thing is that generally we students think of it cracking the examination. Here again, counseling is very important. Cracking word has become a buzzword nowadays. Naturally, the cracking becomes byproduct. This is very important to understand. I know certain of the people, those who have been very much success in their career, they prepared not for X examination. They just studied, and out of that, they competed with number of the examinations. So that is more important. If you want to be an IAS, naturally, don't focus for the IAS exactly, civil services exam. But if you prepare your subjects properly, naturally you will be able to complete the civil services examination, because that is a holistic one. So this is very important to understand. And this has all come from the coaching institutes and all that, the examination. And that's why I do not agree with this one. And I always suggest students that don't think of cracking of the examination. Prepare, learn things, study, learn, understand. Already you will compete. You will be on the top of the examination. So you will have to enjoy. So enjoyment is very important. This is one thing that I want to communicate with you people. The another important thing I would like to share with you people that nowadays, as I told you in the very opening, that the world is changing, and as the G20 summit has concluded, in which many of the things have come up: global world, global family, and so on and so forth. Now think of it. If we are thinking of a global family or a global world, naturally global village means ultimately we are having and rather what you call as a changed paradigm changed. A paradigm shift is there. So knowledge will be not localized, and it will be having a global impact. So one barrier that will come up with this one. This is one. And the second important thing which has become a buzzword nowadays, again, the second one is
I should look at further
uh,
the things that I've been
please mute.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Please mute.
Letty, please mute your mic. Letty, please mute your mic. Ria, please remove it.
Horse used in 2 or 3 days, last 2 or 3 days, although it was having a very long exercises. That was the digital public infrastructure. So it is expanding like anything. Digital public infrastructure means that whole of the scenario will change. And with the development of this one, you think of it will open array of careers. Like the Internet of Things came and it opened array of management of Internet of Things, this and that. There are a number that came. New courses are started. So the students have to understand in what direction the world is going. The globe is moving. The technology is moving. So this is one very important thing. The second important thing that is dovetailing itself, that is coming into in each dimension of the knowledge, that is the artificial intelligence. Now you cannot part off with the artificial intelligence. It can have n number of demerits, but you cannot part of it. You cannot live without it, that one. So we will have to live with it. And artificial intelligence, you see, that will again open new areas, whether it is social science or physical science, it is there. So Internet of Things is there. Everywhere there will be the artificial intelligence, and that will control everything. So what we had earlier, the traditional knowledges, will have to shift from that one. We'll have to keep the traditional knowledge. We'll have to come with and with the modern industrial knowledge that is called as Industry 5 knowledge, we will have to bridge between these two. And that bridge will help the students to make their career and move onwards. So this is another important thing where the students will be required to know about where the world is going. Third important thing I would like to say over here, that is knowledge and industry, or rather the technology, not industry. Industry is the product of the technology. So knowledge and technology, these are intertwined. We cannot separate these two. So if knowledge progresses, technology progresses. Because you see, everything is just for the better life condition of the human being. So whatever we are doing, what we are studying, what we are making the career, ultimately the objective is what? Employment, sustaining family, sustaining oneself, ultimately working for the nation and become a good human being. That is the objective ultimately. So keeping all these things in mind, it becomes very important to understand how to choose things out of these in the ocean of knowledge, how to select things, which one is better for one, and then pursue his or her career. So these are important things. So certain of the factors that will certainly influence you. These factors are generally, one is your interest. Your career will be influenced with that one. So this is very important factor. So you have to remember that whether you have got interest in that field or not. Number two, what is your abilities are not there. So in the very beginning I said, what is your strength, what is your weaknesses must be identified first. So ability. The second factor, important factor comes, that is the ability of yours. Third is the values and how you value things. So that will also influence. That is also important factor, how your personality has been shaped. So in the career building, all these factors in your career. These are the important things, I think. If any questions are there, it will be better to answer the questions, because discussed and must to be presented. But I think time limit thing, if questions are being asked from me and I am able to answer those questions, that will be easier and good for the learner also. So thank you very much. I just opened the things.
Thank you, sir. As always, you were truly inspires us a lot. So I request everyone, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box and we will consider it accordingly. Now, I would like to call Shubhra to please introduce our main speaker, Mrs. Jessica Hansda, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Let me introduce you to the guest of speaker, Mrs. Jessica Rene Hensda. She is faculty in Department of Botany, St. Xavier's College, Ranchi, since 2018. She completed BSc Botany in 2016 from St. Xavier's College, Ranchi, and completed MSc Botany in 2018 from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. She also received Biodiversity Conservative Award 2019 at the International Conference for Environment and Ecology held in February 2020. She cleared NET in 2017 as an MSc student and also in 2018 and 2022 as well. She is currently pursuing PhD in the PG Department of Botany, Ranchi University. She has attended about 15 conferences, published around 5 research journals, and one book chapter, and she has written a book. Thank you.
Thank you, Subra. That's a very good introduction.
Thank you so much, Shubhra. Good evening to one and all present here.
Good evening, ma'am.
I'll start time. I hope my screen is visible to you.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Jessica Rini Hansda, Faculty Department. Before I bring up my topic, I would like to acknowledge Donnie. He told me whenever you also sister-in-law would lastly or make this presentation better. The contents of the presentation are as follows. The first topic we'll discuss will be how to select the correct career option. Second, we'll discuss about the personality test. Third, I'll give you some career advices. Fourth, we'll talk about various working professionals that have their advices and experiences to share, because we don't have students from just one particular field, but very varied audience we have today. So everyone needs to have something to take back. And then lastly, we'll deal with the question and answers. So now, how to select the correct career option. Once we discuss this, there is a starting point when you decide to frame your career and you have your goal. There are various paths from where you start to reach your goal. It may be very different for different people. You might be taking breaks, you might be continuing with other projects, you might be having some personal problems or otherwise, and then it might take a different route. It looks very easy that there is a start point and there's an end point, but unfortunately, it isn't that easy. But why? Why isn't it actually that easy then? Because until you figure out your own maze, you cannot start solving it to reach your goal. Please make sure you and your have been highlighted very out loud. Why? Because everyone has a different career path. You can take advices from anyone and everyone, but as the next line suggests, following someone else's path might not give you as much success, because you have your different struggles. Our diverse lives create our own unique mazes with different walls that we have to conquer are the education. If you want to apply for a job, the first thing that you go for, you search for in the site or in the forms, is the eligibility. Some to acquire a job in the HR, your management, you need to have an MBA degree in that particular field. You can't be a basic BSc or a BA degree holder and apply for jobs that are only for engineers or doctors and so on. So first limit, the first maze is the education that you select long back. Now, as Sinha sir said, the NEP has been introduced, and we are expecting that these barriers are cut down to a lot of extent, but most of the students who are my target audience are not in the NEP syllabus base. So you all have your education. So basically, you have selected one path already, and some of the doors and windows have already been closed down. So your maze has been created. The other thing is the phase of your life. The phase of your life can be your marital status. If you're married, if you're single, you have different responsibilities, and you look for different types of jobs. If you are, the age barrier again is a problem, because some of the jobs have eligibility criteria. If you're taking too long, basically, if you're not taking care of your health and you have crossed your 20s, it might be a little difficult to get jobs. You start your jobs in 30. I'm not saying you cannot. You can get a job at 50 or even 60. You can start your own business at 60. But if you're looking for a job, if you're applying for a company, there are these limitations. Then, of course, the harsh truth, that is the family financial status. All of us can't dream of becoming certain things in life because they have a special fees. And if our family is not able to fulfill that, it's not morally correct to pressurize our families to take loans and then apply for certain things. For example, if somebody wants to become a pilot, the training costs you a lot. And there is no guarantee that all of those who are undergoing the training will get to be pilots. So these barriers are there. And last but not the least, one of the most bitter truth is the corruption that you have to face. Corruption, not necessarily by institutes or the governing bodies or your academic places, but also your personal lives, your family lives. Corruption is basically anything that is a dishonest or an immoral behavior that can be from anywhere. Maybe there is something else personally that is stopping you. So now, once you have figured out your maze, so for example, you have a lot of people in your class. There can be around 50 to 60 students. You have 50 to 60 classmates of your aim. So you all have the same starting point as of now. But the goal for all is not the same as of now, because everyone has different dream jobs or whatever. But just imagine that two of you in the same class have the same goal. You both want to become this particular professional. Let's name it A. And your starting point is this, that you'll be having your graduation degree, or you maybe have your graduate degree in hand. So once you start, there is no correct way. There can be more than two ways. And that depends upon the factors that we have already discussed. Also, some things don't work out for all. You have a different personality. You have a different life. You towards life. And if you see this slide, you probably might think that red line is the perfect one. Why? Because that is taking less time and so on. But that's not the right way to judge it, because the person B who is taking the blue line eventually might reach the same goal a little later, might lose out on 1 or 2 years of their salary, but they would have more experiences than the other one. So every path is different. Your life is different. There is no such thing known as perfect guidance. There will always be two paths, but you might not have the energy to take the shorter route at that time. Maybe your health is not allowing, and various other factors that go hand in hand. The other maze, once you have figured out your maze, if you see, the goal is same for all the people, but the starting point is different. If that doesn't mean that if you're starting from point A, B, or C, you cannot reach that particular goal. Everyone has their own particular journey. It might take a little longer. The paths might be more curved. You might even have to make your paths. Not necessarily you'll have this path paved out for you. You'll have to cross boundaries. You'll have to talk it out. You'll have to explain other people your passion, your career. There'll always be some people who'll say this is not correct or this is not right, but the only person who is going to be affected by it is you. And if you take wrong decisions, the consequences will have to be faced not only by you, but by your family as well. If you're not satisfied with your goal, if you're not satisfied with your job, it's not just you who suffers. It is the whole family that suffers along with you. So please find your own path. Get that degree and start it from here. And then reach your particular goal. Let's go on to the one. Very take this personality test. So there are 16 types of personality, as I already told. They are grouped into 4 categories, and each of these 4 categories have 4 subcategories. So the first one is, like, as you can see, analysts, and these are the categories that is written here. The codes, you can see INTJ. Once you take the test, you'll be given the results that you belong to this particular type of personality, and I'll deal with it later on, how to go about it. And then there are these others that are the diplomats, and then all of these. So these are the 16 types of personalities. So this is the link. I'll share it with you all later on also. 16 personalities. Probably you'll remember it later on. You can go to the site and see your results. Once you find your result, you'll be given this INTJ personality. So they will also have 2 types: the architecture, the assertive ones, and the turbulent ones. Let's look at the site for a bit, for better understanding. This is how the site looks like. Okay, sorry.